everybody, welcome back to Optimistic Orbit, and today we're looking at careers. So our question we're going to ask the cards today in our pick a card reading is to quit or stay. What does your career look like in terms of what moves you're going to make here in the rest of the year? So we've got some mandala cards for you to choose from today. So have a look, stop the video if you want to. The timestamps below for each of the piles will be below. So for pile number 1, if you feel drawn to this mandala, this is your pile. Pile number 2, this is your mandala. And I've pre-chosen some oracle cards, as you can see as well below, based on that. And pile number 3, this is your mandala. So when you're ready and you've chosen your pile, go to this timestamp below and I'll see you in a minute for your reading. Hello pile number 1 and welcome to your reading for quit or stay in your career. So you chose this mandala and let's have a little look at what it says. It says doubt. I release the need to know all the answers. that's great, isn't it? Pile number 1. Maybe there are going to be things at the minute, potentially that, it's just not the right moment to know the answers to. And it might be that, we get the answer today in the cards for whether you to quit or stay. But maybe it's about timing. Timing is very important, isn't it? Maybe there's some lessons still to be learned potentially, but I release the need to know all the answers. And that can be liberating in itself, can't it? Just letting it go and making it work out for your higher good. Okay, what else have we got? We have got, with my thoughts, I co-create with the universe. Nice. So maybe you're already thinking about whether this is the right moment for you to do something. And maybe it is. But the universe does reward action after all. It's all very well having it in your head, isn't it? But if you actually start showing the universe that you're putting something into action, then very often things start to come into fruition a lot more quickly, don't they? So what is it that you want then, pile number 1? You've got a few doubts specifically around it. So maybe you just need to get those thoughts a little bit clearer so that you can tell the universe what you want. And then we've got, so this was the Law of Positive Index. I should have said that. And then we've got the Soul's Journey deck. And then we've got the Wild Whiskers deck here as well. Loyal Llama. Patience, stamina and diligence. Okay, well that marries up with what we've just saying about timing, haven't we? Having patience and stamina. Persistence and peaceful grassland dweller, show me fortitude in troubled times. So you're obviously not feeling the daily grind is giving you much in return at the minute. And you're obviously doing a lot of soul searching as opposed to what it is that you truly want. And with times as they are, it's no wonder we're feeling doubtful about things, isn't it? Cost of living and all the different things that are going on in the world right now. It feels a very unpredictable, chaotic time. And so I can see why you really want to give this some good thought and not jump necessarily if you don't need to at this minute in time. So we're going to use a new deck that I've been working with just for the last little while to charge my deck and get them to the point where I can use them for readers, because I do that with all decks that I get. But this one, when I saw it, I was like, yes, I've got to have that because I'm a big traveller. So this is the Travel Tarot, Lonely Planet Travel Tarot, and the biggest cards I think I own. So I do apologise if I go a bit slow with the old shuffling. Not sure how many are going to drop out or appear, so we might just have to cut the deck if I feel it's not working, just because of the pace that I'm taking with the cards. So pile number 1. Pile number 1. Quit or stay in 2026? Quit or stay? What career advice do you have for pile number 1? And that one. See what I mean? I'm trying to go too fast and it's not working. Oh, that one wanted to come, didn't it? Where's that one? That one. How many is that? We're going to take 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, it's really, I do apologise if I sniffle today. Pollen is high here in the UK. In fact, I'm just going to stop the video. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, sorry about that, pile number 1. I'm back. Okay, now these are huge cards. We might have to think about how this is showing up on the camera before we go too far. Can you see that? Let me just move those slightly over that way. In fact, I might do that if you don't mind. That's better. Okay. Right then, pile number 1. What have we got for you? The 9 of Pentacles. Oh, lovely. So, potentially in a financially stable place in your particular career that you're at the moment. The 9 of Pentacles is the card of having grown a really kind of abundant space for yourself. You've put in a lot of work to get to this point. So I can see why you maybe be having doubts about whether it's the right thing to do, particularly if your job gives you certain perks that you may be thinking, well, if I sacrifice those, I don't think I'll ever get another job like it. So I've got to be really clear, which is what the oracles are telling us. You've got to be really clear on what it is and what path you want to take. Particularly if you're thinking about leaving maybe the rat race or leaving a 9 to 5, if you're thinking of quitting that to go it alone, and maybe you've got some passion projects, you've got a particular area that you think, I'd love to be able to do this, then I can understand the doubts creeping in, because you've obviously built up a nice little nest egg here in some shape or form, and you're worried. I think you're a little bit worried about losing what advantages that kind of gives you, really. Let's have a look at the clarifier. The 2 of Pentacles, yeah, definitely. That's exactly what we're seeing here. So the 2 of Pentacles is about kind of juggling. Oh, doorbell, sorry. Right, we will get going. Well, my new oracle cards have come. So I'll be looking at those later. Hurrah. Okay, right. I do apologise, pile number 1. Getting disturbed here, aren't we? Right. So pile number 1, 2 of Pentacles. Yeah. So the 2 of Pentacles is about juggling things. You're trying to kind of keep a balance in your life. You don't really want to let that go, because life is kind of giving you everything that you kind of just need to, like, balance status quo. You know, your work-life balance here is maybe something that you're worried about disappearing, or maybe it's something that isn't quite in alignment right now. And although you've got all the trappings of a lovely home life, maybe you've got the choices of going traveling and just enjoying the fruits of your labor through all your hard work, you might be thinking here that you've kind of it's time to make that choice between that, or potentially maybe having a little bit less of stress in your life, getting a bit of a work-life balance going, because this comes with a lot of hard work, a lot of extra work, maybe above and beyond what your contract tells you. It might be even a vocational kind of thing where you actually work way more than actually you play. So there could be that energy coming through there as well. So let's have a look. Knight of Cups. Okay. So Knight of Cups is a really lovely card, because there's a lot of joy and emotional fulfillment coming through in the forward momentum of the Knight of Cups. They're looking towards taking some action, which is exactly why you're here. And you're trying to, I think what we've just been saying is exactly where we're going with this. You're looking for something that gives you a little bit more emotional fulfillment. And at the minute, that's what you're kind of lacking. Yes, you've got money, gives you choices. Your stability gives you a lot of luxuries that you're really quite happy with. But in terms of freedom and lack of stress potentially, and being able to like balance work with family and home life, that's something that you're wanting, and it's really coming through strongly there with the Knight of Cups. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. I think you're ready. You're champing at the bit to make a move. For sure. And I think once you're very clear on what this passion project is that you want to pursue, or what area of your current work life, maybe you want to jump ship into something similar, but you want to find a company that aligns and resonates with all your values, and try and get that work-life balance going. So you've got to really think about being clear on those on that before you kind of jump ship, because the Fool here is saying, yeah, you need to take a bit of a leap of faith here. If this is what you really want, nothing comes really without, first of all, action, like we were saying here, but also in terms of taking a risk. There's a little bit there, you are going to have to take a risk if you want to go. And I think this is definitely saying so far that staying means a comfortable existence, albeit a hard, potentially workaholic existence. But you're wanting to find your life's about other things for you, I feel now. I think you're really thinking very strongly about quitting. And the Fool kind of suggests that you're ready to take this leap. You're kind of almost full of this new excitement for a new kind of less trodden path. And as always with the Fool, we get lots of symbolism in this, in terms of you're standing on the edge of that cliff, um, and you're just about to take that leap onto the other side. And you're protected, though. Don't forget, the guidance with the dog is that there is protection here. You've got. Don't forget, you're not alone. You can ask your spirit guides, for instance. You can. Well, I'll put my microphone back on. Oops. I hope that came out all right. There are going to be obstacles, of course. There always are in life. It's never going to be a nice, straight, and easy path. But the potential rewards are there if you're willing to take that risk. It will just mean that life looks a bit different for a while, because as in any career or job move, there's always new things to learn. There's always a steep curve, isn't there, of learning and lessons to be had. So you kind of never get into that place straight away. And I think you've done a lot of soul searching already, so you kind of know that that is the case. I don't feel like you're going into it blindly, but I think what the Fool is just warning us here about, advising, is that really do your homework. If you haven't, do your homework, because you don't want to be impulsive in making this decision, because there is potentially not, you could do this for a couple of years, or maybe get yourself into a position where you've learned all what you need to learn, particularly if it's a career change completely. That takes major time, doesn't it? And so then trying to get back into that old career path is not necessarily going to be easy. So it's not a safety net in some respects. You could maybe get some extra work to keep you tied and happy, and just not breaking even, while you kind of set yourself sights on this new self-employment route. But when you do move away from this, you're moving away from this quite significantly. Things change in any avenue of work or skills. Things change rapidly at the moment, and it may well be that is not there if you leave it behind. So just be very, very clear that this quitting is actually the right move at the right time. And that's what the Oracle was saying to us, weren't they, about the divine timing. You maybe need to have a little patience and due diligence as to when that right time actually is. So let's have a little look and see what we've got here then. The Queen of Swords. Okay, yeah, I think you're going to, I think you've already done it. This is saying the Queen of Swords that you've done a little bit of your logical thinking. You're not thinking totally with your head here. You're with your heart. You're being very logical about this. You're kind of thinking, okay, I need to get this in place. I need to make sure I've got an emergency fund, some supplies. I can keep myself going in case, I stall along the way. I think you're ready. I think you're ready for a move, and you've almost mentally made that leap in your head. It's just a matter of putting those thoughts down on paper and handing in that resignation. So yeah, Queen of Swords is a very kind of astute, wise, logical person, doesn't really take any BS. So there may be a point where you get to, and this might be where the divine timing comes in. You wanted to go on this route for a little while now, and something may just push you over the edge a little bit in terms of what they ask you to do at work, and you're like, enough, I am done. That was the last straw. Because the Queen of Swords doesn't take any BS. They are very straightforward. And they know when they're being played, and there may be a sense of you being taken here as almost, what's the word I'm looking for? You're taken for granted potentially in your place of work at the moment. As fruitful as the rewards are of the job, I think you're feeling like, oh, how is this life? Is this what life is all about, or is there something else here for me to pursue? Yes, strength. Okay. I think that sums up what we've already been saying, to be honest, pile number one. If you do go along, you're going to have this stamina, and it comes up in the strength card as well. You're going to have that patience along with it too, that resilience that comes up as well with the strength card. Because if you quit, and I think that looks like that's the way that you're going here, then you just need to know that next stage is not going to be particularly, what's the word? It's not going to happen quickly. It's something that you've got to just bide your time with. And like we said, any move you make always takes time to kind of make a new path for yourself. And you'll know when the time is right. The universe may well push you. Has a habit of doing that, doesn't it? It makes life uncomfortable for us when it knows that we are not aligned with it anymore. And if we don't listen to that inner voice sometimes, or those little clues that the universe leaves us, sometimes it can do us one big old mighty push. And that might be where that's coming from. The universe actually gets you to a point where you're like, yeah, you're lovely and comfortable. The rewards here are great, but you hate it really. And here I come in with the one thing that I know that will go over your threshold in terms of your boundaries that you've set, and what you will put up with. And it comes in and it says, and you say, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. But I think you're wise enough, and you'll have thought about it by the time it comes around for sure, as to that risk is going to be worth it for you. Yeah, it may take a while to come back to being a stable and secure place for you to earn your cash, and it may not yield the results that you want to straight away. It could take quite a while for you to get to that place. That's not unusual, is it, when you do a career change or when you change jobs? But you're kind of going to be in a place, I think, where you feel much happier with your choices. And I don't think people are, this is a compassion. Don't forget that with the strength card, there's an element of compassion here too. So it might be that you're just moving to an employer, if that is where you would prefer to go rather than go it alone, with a more compassionate employer. with where, you know, the perks of the job are not necessarily just financial, but there is there's some other rewards that come along with being in like a community of people who actually look out for each other. There might be a much more teamwork kind of vibe going on, where you're valued, you know, that you're valued much more. Okay, let's have a look and see. Can we? I'd like to just get a clarifier. Oh, I don't think that actually came. No, they all stuck together. Let's try again. Let's see if we can get one more for you. That one wanted to come. The Hermit. Okay. Yeah. Well, that, you know what? That almost looks to me like you may be going it alone. You might even be wanting to take some time out, because the Hermit is all about introspection and needing some solitude to really kind of get clear on your thoughts. So it could well be that you are in a position where you are able, with the support of family, or whether it's the fact that you're financially well resourced here, in being able to just go, I can't do this anymore. If I carry on this way, I'm going to burn out, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take some time out for myself and make sure that I'm not making any mistakes in the next career move that I make. So the Hermit is saying one of these two things. It's either saying take some time out, take an extended break, potentially take some leave that just allows you to get your thoughts really clear with what you want to happen. And you know then that you are going to be on that path without any doubts, you know. And yeah, we don't need all the answers right now, do we? Sometimes this is what we were saying. There is going to be always an element of risk, but at the same time, you want to make sure if you're going to leave this, it's got to be something that you are passionate about. It's got to be for something better, hasn't it? And so the Hermit is kind of saying here, take that time out, get some clarity on what it is that you really want to get from your career, what it is that you want to do. And maybe get out of the, you know, you might have voices around you. You might have very well-meaning colleagues, very well-meaning family or friends or partners who are a little bit kind of wobbly about you doing this. And it might be that you think, do you know what, just stop with all the opinions. I need to just go in and inwards and think, this is my life. What is it that I want to gain from being in a new career, or being in this particular company that I can't get, that I'm in the situation that I'm in at the moment. So yeah, don't rush into it, for sure. But I think this is definitely coming up with the fact that you're going to make a decision that is going to be potentially a little bit risky, but I think you're going to feel the fear and do it anyway. And you're certainly going to put some things into place that are going to make the ride a little bit less bumpy. But you're definitely going to be more aligned with this new path. And you've definitely got all the tools at your disposal to make a good go of it. So yeah, pile number 1. I hope that's been useful. If it has, drop a comment down below. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello, pile number 2, and welcome to your reading on quitting or staying. What does your career have in store for you for the rest of the year in 2026? So you chose this mandala from the Soul's Journey Tarot, and it is health. I will honour the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. So are you wanting to think and make a move to just help you stay healthy, mentally, physically? Maybe you're in a job at the moment that's maybe not giving you that, and this is the reason why you're asking this question. I will honour the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. Yeah, you know, everything that appears in the body, starts in the mind, doesn't it? So if you're in a particularly stressful job, often we see it at some point actually manifesting in our physical bodies too. Right, let's have a look at the law of positivism. 21. I forgive and I get this card a lot. It's amazing. I forgive and release the past to heal my life. I forgive and release the past to heal my life. Look at that, heal, health. So there is something here in your current work that is not aligning with your mind and your body. And the Wild Whiskers Oracle, delightful dear, enlightenment, connection, divination. So, mystical companion, it's hard to read these. Mystical companion of the fairy folk, bless me with your sharp sense of sight. Okay. Physical and the fairy folk, enlightenment, connection. Yeah, you might be turning to turning to your spirit guides. You might even have somebody spiritually that you work with who maybe will be able to help you on your path too. But this is a definite feeling of survival. You know, the deer is a prey animal, as we know. We're extra vigilant, but also in the woodland very much connected to their environment. So I'm thinking here that you've got some issues that potentially are manifesting themselves and they're not really doing you any favours at all. And I think your work environment here is either to blame or it's just not helping. You kind of almost feel like, oh, if I could just take some time out or reduce my workload in some shape or form, it would just really help me out at the minute. I think you're almost searching for answers in lots of different places. But yeah, we need to think about our health, don't we, so much. Right, pile number 2, quit or stay. What does the rest of 20... Oh, dear. Okay. I just dropped them. They are just the most cumbersome tarot deck. Sorry about that. Pile number 2. What do they need to know about their career? Quit or stay? What is happening in their career for the rest of 2026? They are just human, and I find them so difficult to shuffle. I have to go really slowly. So if none that kind of stick out, then we're going to just cut the deck. I love them to bits, actually. They are, to be honest. They're giving us what we want. That's good. That's very good. Okay, quit or stay for pile number 2. That does want that. Oh, that one wants to come as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Okay. Hi, hello, baby. You're right. We'll go for a walkie. We just need to give later, darling. We need to give pile number 2 their reading. Okay. Page of Cups. Okay. So, am I talking in a nice voice, baby? Later, darling. Would you settle? Good boy. So Page of Cups is really nice energy to this card. It suggests that you are someone who is really kind of young at heart, and you are really just a joy to be around. I feel like you get a lot of fulfillment from your job. There's a lot of job satisfaction in this, and you may not have long embarked on this career. You might have just maybe finished your training or something of that nature, or an apprenticeship, or just become qualified maybe, and you're kind of ready and champing at the bit. But it's potential here for this although it's got great job satisfaction, sometimes along with that job satisfaction comes an awful lot of stress. You know, it's just popped into my head. I mean, here in the UK, in the public sector, huge amount of vocational work, you know, hospitals, doctors, teachers, firefighters, you know, police, you name it. A great deal of job satisfaction in helping people, but that comes with a price, doesn't it, in terms of working with the public, working maybe longer hours than you potentially intended. Maybe cutbacks have meant that you are now doing the job of two people, and this lovely joie de vivre and the fact that this is a job that you've really, really always wanted to do has kind of left you feeling a bit depleted. Seven of Swords. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's pretty much that's what interesting, isn't it? That I've just said all of that, and I think that's just kind of clarified exactly where we're at with this. I think for a lot of you, you are working maybe in an environment that gives you an awful lot of satisfaction, but the environment is potentially a little bit toxic. And that could be also in terms of your management, your colleagues that you've got. There may be some underhandness going on, cutting corners, or maybe the protocols that were in place are being kind of eroded in place of ones that actually benefit the employer more than they benefit the employee. And maybe you're just starting to see that in the reality of things. There's definitely some kind of yeah, it does. It kind of feels a bit sneaky to you, in that, you know, everyone's been quite happy with the way the job's been working, but in actual fact things are changing quite rapidly, and it could be new management coming in and just changing things radically that's upset the apple cart. Ten of Wands. Okay, yeah, you're feeling very burdened. The tasks that you are, I think that we said, didn't we, like you're almost doing the job of two people. I think this is very true, because the Ten of Wands is all about like taking on too much, being burdened with lots of things, and the advice really would be to like kind of delegate where you can. But if you're not in that position in your career and your work to be able to do that, then you kind of just have to put up and shut up, don't you? And particularly if they've kind of changed the way the things work, you may not have, you know, much wriggle room other than to just kind of put up and shut up with it. Okay, right. Yeah, it's all going to come crashing down. And I wonder if this is about your health here. I think you've got to breaking point, or you're going to get to breaking point very soon. And this is advice from the cards to say, think very carefully about whether you are wanting to put up with this. Because at the minute, everything is just looking like this job is taking everything from you and not giving you much back in return. And in fact, it's now starting to affect potentially your health, whether that's your mental health, whether that's your physical health. You know, the body does keep score, doesn't it? And if you've had some things in the past that maybe you've not particularly dealt with as well, that could be going on top of things that needed to be worked through. So the Tower is a definitive moment in that it's going to come crashing down, and it may not be your doing. You know, we're saying quit or stay. That as we're looking at this, it's saying, do you know what, this is rubbish. You need to try and figure out a way to get out. Even though you love your work, are there other places you can actually utilize your skills where the management are better, where the environment is not so toxic? Could you maybe even think about going on a course that would then actually get you out of the situation that you're currently in, doing the work of two or three people, so that then you've got another option, another sort of string to your bow that allows you to stay in the same kind of work that you love so much, but actually is causing you so much stress. Because here with the tower, everything kind of does come down, and the change is sudden. There is upheaval here. There is potentially revelation. So you may be finding out a little bit more about this underhand, these protocols that are changing, not realizing maybe of some of the things that have actually changed until maybe you're kind of smack bang in the middle of something, and it's this suddenly dawning realization of, oh my goodness, this is not good for me. This is not good for any of the employees. I'm really getting the sense of this is a toxic place that you're in, and you've got to really think about putting yourself into the realms of what you need to release and let go. Also, not just from your past, but here we come smack bang into the present with the tower. So there's going to be some upheaval. There's going to be maybe a revelation that comes out that makes you think, enough. I love it, but I've got to think of me. I've got to go into survival mode and make sure that I can come out of this with some sort of dignity, really. It could potentially be that they are making redundancies. I don't get that feeling. I mean, we don't really have any pentacles here, which might align more with that. But this is definitely a situation where I think the cards are saying is this look, this is going to happen whether you like it or not. So either you decide to jump when it's maybe a right time for you, or I have a feeling that, you know, at some point it's going to get so messy that you're going to just go, oh, that's it, enough. I'm gone. I'm out of here. And it may be your health that is potentially this this catalyst, and you have to, like, you know, leave for whatever, for your mental health reasons, for other physical manifestation reasons. I don't know. You have to, obviously, because it's a general reading, you need to interpret in the way that fits with you, pile number 2. But I think this is a definite situation where you need to find a much nicer work environment than the one you're currently in. 3 of Cups, nice. So yeah, and you are. I have a feeling you are going to make that move, whether you decide it yourself or whether you are pushed, and it has to happen regardless. There is always, with the Tower, you know, things crumble for a reason. There was never a really strong foundation at this place, and we kind of saw that, didn't we, early on in the cards. And it certainly isn't aligned with your lovely, caring, compassionate side. But this is saying you are going to find some people who have that same alignment in terms of the values and the ethos in which where they work. You're going to find some real colleagues that maybe even become potentially lifelong friends in this next job move. Oh, Queen of Pentacles. So we were just saying that we haven't had any Pentacles, but look at the one that we do have. Fabulous Queen of Pentacles. She is wise. She's maybe been through some experiences and is wiser for it. So as horrible as this is, you know that you'll know the warning signs. So if you're in a job in here and then suddenly new management comes in, you know, you'll be like, nope, I'm not putting up with this. I'm going to say stuff before it gets to a point where I'm then in a situation with my health again, and I don't want that to happen. So you're definitely getting more astute, more experienced in what you ask for in your working environment. You don't shy away from putting your experience and your skills into the mix to say, okay, well, this is what happened. This is what happens when we do it this way. I suggest maybe going forward, can we try X, Y, and Z? I think you're going to be one of those people who maybe steps up into maybe more responsibility in your next role, but rightly so. And you might think, oh, really? Why? I don't really want that at the minute, given that I'm feeling particularly a bit worried about this health situation, whether I'll get too stressed by it. But this is saying no. This new job is great, because the people around you are exactly the right kind of people for you to flourish, and they very much value everything that you bring to the role. And this potentially says they'll see everything that you have. They won't really want to lose you. And if you want that option of being able to go into a new role that potentially pays a lot better, this is the place to do it. And actually, like I said, this, as awful as this can be, and as hard and stressful and emotionally draining as this situation can be, it has to happen for a reason, because you weren't aligned with this. There is something on the horizon for you, pile number 2, that is. And this is just the universe's way of saying, we're going to, I've said this to pile number 1, interestingly, this is the universe's way of saying to you, we're going to make it really uncomfortable so that actually you start listening to us and move. There's a job waiting, there's a door about to open for you here, I feel, and you potentially couldn't see it, didn't want the change. Maybe you've got a fear of change. It's not surprising, particularly when you've worked for something so hard to get to in your foot in the door, so to speak, in the first place. But yeah, I hope it does. And if that resonates with you, pile number 2, please drop a like in the comments. Say to me what particularly it was that resonated with you, and if you feel like subscribing to Optimistic Orbit, we'd love to have you on board. Fairly new channel, and fairly new to bigger card readings as well. So yeah, join us for more. Thanks then. See you next time. Okay, hello pile number 3, and welcome to your reading on your career and whether to quit or stay. So you chose this mandala, and it says, loneliness. I know that I am never alone. So yeah, please don't look too much into the title. It's more about this underneath it. I know that I am never alone. Okay, I feel like someone's looking after you here. So whether you're not really feeling it at the minute in terms of your work and career, then it might be that there's someone actually guiding you here, or someone looking after you. So what does the law of positivism say? It says, when my mind is still, I hear my inner voice. Okay, yeah. And when we hear our inner voice, we often get downloads and guidance from our guides, from those that are looking after us. So yeah, we've just got to be still enough to hear it sometimes, haven't we? And the noble narwhal, resilience, creativity, and uniqueness. Mystic unicorn of the sea, endow me with the gift of individuality. So maybe you're just not feeling it. Your work's okay, but it's maybe potentially a little bit monotonous. And maybe you were hoping that your career was going to just give you a little bit more, I don't know, satisfaction that it's currently giving you. I don't know, we'll ask the cards. So we're going to use the Travel Tarot today. And as you can see, they are huge. They are the biggest deck I own. If you've joined me before, you'll know that I much prefer working with like the mini decks, because shuffling leaves a lot to be decided. So I'm going to have to, I'm afraid, go really slowly. But they have been jumping out, which is good. So let's take those 2. So pile number 3. What do pile number 3 need to know? Do they quit or do they stay? What does the rest of 2026 have in store for their career, for pile number 3? So how many is that? That's 5, one more. The trouble is they all stick together. And I never know whether it's me, my dodgy finger work with magic, or whether it's the card. I sometimes look back and think, why did I not pull that one? But it's all good, isn't it? The card I choose is obviously the right one, regardless. Right, okay, here we go. Let's just check, because they're so huge that we can see that. Yes, we can. Okay. All right then. So 5 of Pentacles. Okay, so pile number 3. Are you in work? Maybe you are doing something, but it is not financially fruitful for you. It might not be giving you the financial stability that you are craving. Maybe you are skilled, you could be a very skilled person, but you're being overworked and you're not getting the, maybe they're not paying overtime, but you're expected to work all these extra hours. Something does not align here with the level of commitment that you're giving to your work and the actual financial rewards of it. There's something that's not aligning. This card is about kind of feeling just a little bit undervalued, overworked and underpaid. It's that old adage, isn't it? And you're maybe having to tighten your belt, and you're thinking, this no longer works for me. I've got to maybe potentially think about whether I stay and hope that maybe I get that promotion, or maybe do I just quit now, save a lot of hassle and look for something that just, for me at the minute, I need it financially. So there's definitely some money woes around where you're currently situated in your career. Pile number 3, the King of Wands. So the King of Wands is a very there's a lot of stability and structure that comes in with this. I kind of feel like a number of you have been maybe in this work for a while, but maybe during, but I mean, here we are, aren't we? Cost of living crisis and all of that. A lot of employers are tightening their belts, and maybe you're just feeling put up on, because the King of Wands is someone who kind of has been around the block a bit. You know your stuff. I don't feel like you're an apprentice or someone who's very new to this career. I feel like you're a skilled, experienced person in this line of work, and maybe you've been told to, everyone's had some perks taken away that used to be there, and that's maybe just popped you a little bit nearer to having to cut other things in your life that you enjoyed. There is a definite sense here that you are not valued for the level of experience and hard work that you've been putting in. And maybe the fact that they're cutting corners has affected you in some of the perks that have maybe disappeared from you, or maybe that raise that you were promised is no longer available, and you're still expected to put in those same hours. There's something of that nature along those lines, if that resonates with you. Okay, Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords, you're gaining some clarity here. You're definitely doing some hard thinking. When your mind is still, I hear my inner voice. And with the Page of Swords, we get some new ideas coming in. You're thinking, is this it? Is this what I've just got to look forward to? And maybe because you are an experienced person, there's a double-edged sword with that, isn't there? You can feel, well, I can't move anywhere else because, they're not going to pay me what I'm on now, and I'm going to have to go down. So, or, with the current situation, you're feeling a little bit stuck. And you like the structure, you like stability. So you're almost feeling, well, why would I jump ship? Because it's not necessarily going to be any better anywhere else. But I think you're going to be getting a few ideas about what options you do have. Because the energy of the Page of Swords is all about new ideas and clarity, and maybe starting to think, oh, now is the moment to run with those ideas. Is there something, pile number 3, that you have longed to do or been thinking about? It could even be a side hustle, you know. It could be a hobby that you think, well, I'll earn me a few extra bucks if I do it right. And it might be that these are the seeds that are being planted in the very near future. Knight of Pentacles. So the Knight of Pentacles, yeah. The Knight of Pentacles is someone who slow, steady, looks at everything with a very, very beady eye in terms of the financial situation and moving forward. A slow and steady wins the race kind of energy going on. So yeah, maybe you start something here, or maybe these ideas, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's potentially getting your fingers into some other pies in the area of business or career that you're in, and you're thinking, well, if I maybe put myself forward for that might open other avenues that I could potentially kind of get myself into. And I think you're looking very carefully at how that could play out. But you're quite diligent. You don't want to make this move. You're not a risk taker, I feel, pile number 3. And you want to just make sure that it's going to be financially rewarding before you kind of let this go. I feel like you do want to. You're certainly not. It's not all singing or dancing. And I think you're just exploring other avenues, and you're really looking into it. You're doing the research, you're putting in the groundwork of what it is that you're going to need to do to be able to make maybe this idea potentially fruitful in your finances. It might not, it may, well, who knows? It may well be something that you're thinking about in terms of giving you your main income. But I think at the moment it feels more like a side hustle venture that will just bring in some extra money. Because that's what clearly, you just feel like your little nest egg is dwindling quite rapidly here, and you just want to make sure that you're bolstering it up. Yeah, interesting. Page of Pentacles. So I think you're going along with this idea. This is education usually. You've got all these excited ideas about where you want to go next, and you're maybe taking whatever it is that you need to learn the ropes of for this venture to start. You're doing it. You're thinking, yeah, I'm really excited about this, and you're excited enough with your astute mind and your diligence in researching it. You're thinking, yeah, I think this is a goer. I think I could potentially make something of this. Yeah. I think it could. I think it could yield you something, because the Four of Wands is it's a time of sort of celebration. The Four of Wands is as you can see here, there they are. These are the ones here. This little gazebo here. They're very stable in the ground, and we've got some people underneath here, kind of celebrating the win, celebrating those initial steps that have borne fruit. You're sitting on some stable ground. So I think, I'm not sure whether you are quitting. I think this could go either way. You could stay while you build up a venture that you're excited about, that you put in the hours for, that you learn about and you get good at, in order to then find some kind of, it bears some fruit for you. Now, whether that actually comes into turning into your main line of work is maybe something, if we pull another card, it might let us know. And it might just be a little bit of endow me with your gift of individuality and uniqueness, clear your mind. this could be an idea that you're so excited about because you're thinking, why hasn't no one ever thought about this before? God, blimey, why is this? I feel like I'm really excited to get going because this could be a major avenue of finance here. Seven of Wands. Okay, so Seven of Wands suggests that sevens are all about you being on the right path and that you've just kind of got to keep going, but you will be tested. So I would say stick with this. You know what you're doing. You know, you can turn up at work and, you know, almost do it with your eyes closed, despite the financial reward not being all it should be. And this is saying, yeah, go with this. Do a little bit of side hustle work. Do something in the background, because it will bear you fruit if you follow these steps, if you research it properly, if you learn the ropes, if you really kind of get consistent at doing it. And it might take a while to get to that point, but it will eventually be a nice little earner for you. And the Seven of Wands is saying, yeah, this is the right path for you. Keep going at it. Don't quit the day job just yet, because as always with anything like this, there are always ups and downs. And the sevens are definitely, the road will be bumpy. You'll be tested at times with this, but that's all a learning curve in itself, isn't it? And it'll only cement this kind of business venture, this side hustle, into something that can have longevity. So you're going to build something up, and maybe it's just a juggling act, because the sevens is about kind of defending your position. You're on the right path. You need to defend your position. You need to, people or partners or family might be saying, you're burning the candle here, but you're not seeing much for your reward. And you're like, no. I'm loving this. I'm getting a lot actually from this, this level of excitement that I feel with this side hustle. And I know that I've got to get good at it and learn the ropes before it will pay off completely. So I'm not going to quit this day job, and it will feel like you don't see much of me, but this is for the good, financial good of our unit. So yeah, that's anyway. I hope that's resonated with you, pile number 3. If it has, drop a like below and feeling anything particularly. I do read everybody's comments, so it's great to see what you take from the reading. And we are quite new to pick a card piles here on Optimistic Orbit. So if you feel like subscribing, we'd love to have you on board, and I'll see you next time. Bye.